I just want to do a little video right now that talks about emotions and feelings and things like that when it comes to all these emotions and feelings that people have, and the concerns that they're not going to match up with somebody. In the past, the very few women that got really close to me in relationships, there was only one of them that I truly liked, and I feel like this is what happens to lots of people. There was only one of them that I was really close to, and that was the very first one. I felt I was close to her emotionally. It didn't work out because I had to go to college. Was the main reason. I'm still dependent on my parents, and that's very difficult for two people to get through. Everything's gonna be difficult, pretty much. As you get older, you just learn to deal with it, and that's with life. I'm pacing right now. I walk back and forth. Taylor Swift sings about that. I feel a lot about how I think people analyze how I am, and they don't trust me. And they don't trust me in knowing how I am also responsible in certain circumstances. Many times you'll read these posts, and I'm reading them this morning on the Swifties pages, and they talk about, now they're making posts about comments that Taylor Swift made in her past about how she has verbally communicated her feelings about her activities in her life, how she might sleep in and be low key. You see, what I've noticed, and I'm very observant, is that in general, the ideal thing that happens is that two people work together the best they can at their own function, at their own pace, and they do what they can do, and they make the decision they want to be with that person, and they come together and make their life happen. We can sit here and we can overanalyze all this stuff, or we can analyze it. But like I started this conversation, I know I can see myself, and I know my feelings very well. I want to remind you, I never was the kind of person that would get drunk and would not remember what happened. I've always been very, very, I have a very good memory. So I remember how the very first person who I really loved and really wanted a relationship with, my first girlfriend, I remember that. I remember the feelings about that. And then I remember not being true to myself in certain ways. And I remember what it was like to begin to emotionally, when I say emotionally, plan your life around somebody else in some way, shape, or form in which you are with somebody. There's all these things you have to take care of. You feel like you need to monitor in order to make sure things don't fall apart. Whether or not people know that this is your husband or wife. Do you publicly declare that? Do you need to show each other in public, holding hands once in a while, going out to eat, doing things together? There's all these things you have to think about doing based on how people are going to react to you. Many times. I want to tell you how I feel about, for me, I know, like I said, there's one girl that I liked and about 3 girls that I got into relationships with that I did not like them the way in which I liked the first girl. I was sure about the first girl. The other 3, I wasn't sure about. I wanted to be their friends. Maybe I wanted to be their friends is a better way of putting it, but I didn't want to be their maybe life partner, their serious girlfriend. There was something missing that I knew would always be missing, and deep down I knew it never could work with me and those girls in the long run. But you go into it anyways because it's fun, it feels good, you're experimenting with things, and that's why you do it. And then there's lots of other feelings too, guilt, and you don't want to hurt people's feelings and all these things. Okay. I went to Norway trying very hard to feel a certain way about somebody, which I could have done, but it didn't work for many reasons. She ended up writing a letter about me that was not nice. Okay? At the same time, I have grown up a lot. Before Norway, as leading into Norway, I'd grown up a lot. My mother had been divorced for 15 years. We had conversations about things. At one point, my mom even said, shop around. Go out on dates with several people. I discovered that it's very hard to go out on dates with several people, because as soon as you go out with someone once, they want to know when you're going to do something again. And then living in a small town, you see that person. If you go out with anyone else, they end up knowing about the fact you went out with somebody, and then the whole thing can easily become two enemies, can easily be made when you start doing things with someone else. You know, a week after you go out on a date with one person, you go out on a date with somebody else. It causes problems. And you can do it, and sometimes you have mature people that can do it, but sometimes you can't. So basically what happened to me is I got to the point where I wouldn't let my emotions break this threshold where I can commit to somebody, but there's still a little bit of me that is still for me. And I can take that little bit, and I can step back if it all hits the fan, and I will feel unscathed taking that little step back. So what I'm saying is I show that person a lot of how I feel about them, and how much I care and want to be a part of their life. I'll show them a lot of that, but then I'll have to take that little step back. I did that. I had to do that with the girl in Norway because of that letter, basically, and because of the government and because of the community, not helping me with trying to stay in the country and not understanding what could happen, and it shouldn't have happened. I shouldn't have had to have gone like that, but that's fine. That's what happened. Okay. So Taylor Swift came about through before anything happened with anyone in Norway. But the reality of that possibility being true, even though my feelings for her music are true and what she sings about, I appreciate and relate to. You don't, especially even with the internet being so new, you have no grasp or understanding of how someone that has so many followers as Taylor Swift would find something that I was posting interesting necessarily, or even see it at all in general. So when I went to Norway and carved the tile of Taylor Swift in March 2018, that created the situation, and I believe that she already had known who I was, just probably from me posting so many videos of hers, and I think tagging her in some of them maybe. But what I'm saying is that and every situation is different. They all come about in different ways. And I will say this, that as soon as I knew that Taylor Swift was interested in me, as soon as I knew that and believed that, it's very easy for me to let myself feel very close to and very strongly about Taylor Swift in an emotional relationship kind of way, in a long-term relationship, emotional relationship kind of way. And the reason why that is, I think, is because, number one, because I've been so clearly interested in Taylor Swift for so long, in her music, in her charisma, in her intelligence, and in everything about her that I can see in public. That's who she is. So for me, seeing that and being and following her for so long, and then bringing her with me to Norway when I carved that tile, and then slowly through the whole summer, me trying so hard and being so careful and trying to make it work with this other person in Norway, after trying so hard and doing everything I could to try to make that work, and having that not work, or having feelings like it wasn't going to work, or having these feelings of not being sure about any of it, to come back from Norway and even to have it start happening while I was in Norway, to see that Taylor Swift was following me, was interested in what I was doing, and knowing that she was out there following me, and then to be having to be sent home from Norway. It was very easy for me once I got back here, along with the encouragement of Taylor Swift, it was very easy for me to make the decision in my mind, mentally, it's time for me to start seriously realizing that Taylor Swift likes me and is interested in me, and that's when I can then start to shape and show her this feeling of complete trust in her, and complete interest, and having complete interest in her and only her, and that's how I feel. And like I said, there's always a part of me that is reserved, so I can come through something like this unscathed if it wouldn't work out, which I surely hope it will, and I'll do everything in my power to make it work out. But I just want it to be known that this is how the Taylor Swift is this person that very clearly in my mind, I'm 100% I have this 100% feeling, sober feeling, that she is what I can see myself being with. I really feel like her as a mother figure. She makes me feel comfortable and just knowing this person could be around me for my whole life. I feel an immediate security there, and it's not a monetary security. It's maybe it is, maybe that speaks to her, because that's her whatever confidence she has. This has nothing to do with me wanting her money. This has to do with how I feel about her, how the way she appears in public, all these hundreds of thousands of photos I've looked at and videos and everything. I think I have a very firm grasp of her personality, and I feel like I absolutely want to be in love with it, and it doesn't mean that I'm not a little bit already, or a lot already. So I'm just saying all this because I just know that that she is someone that I really, really like. And this isn't, I'm not just saying that at all. And I never, I don't even know why I'm saying this, but I never would even come close to being able to say that about those other 3 women who I tried to have relationships with. I never could have said that like this right now. It never even got to that point. We met at the bar. You know, it was a habits that I was in, stemming from college, that led me to those feelings that I had, those relationships in the past. The one wholesome relationship that I felt like was someone who I really liked, that was from all the years in high school, knowing her, and that relationship was ruined. It was ended because of me having to go to college. So, and then as you can see, college led me to this life of getting into relationships with people when I really had no reason to be getting into a relationship with them. They all occurred during fast friendships, hanging out at the bar. Taylor Swift is a slow friendship that was seemingly something that I could never imagine happening, but I just didn't care. I liked her, and I just didn't, and I got to the point where I told myself, I don't care if people make fun of me. I don't care if a girl doesn't want to hang out with me because I'm posting Taylor Swift music videos. That bothered me for a while, feeling like I couldn't post Taylor Swift music videos because it was going to make some girl out there be jealous or make her think that I'm not emotionally connected to her. And I broke myself of that insecurity, and then I flooded my page with Taylor Swift because I truly enjoyed doing that, and I didn't care if anyone cared or not. So maybe that's how Taylor Swift got to know me, or got to be even more interested in me. So I just want to describe all these. I just want to tell you. I want to make this known that this is how I feel about the situation I'm in, and I hope this helps the situation. I'm not sure exactly what's preventing it from, from it being more physical, not sexually physical, but just more physical in the sense of communicating directly. I understand why. Well, yeah, this is a very careful, slow process, and I'm in it for all of that. But I want everyone to hear me say this about how I can easily identify Taylor Swift being a very tall, energetic, athletic, smart, artistic person. It's exactly what, it's exactly what you have here too. So this is not a relationship. These aren't feelings that are built upon any kind of alcohol-induced atmosphere. Let me put it that way. This is not an alcohol-induced atmosphere. This is something I'm very certain about my feelings about Taylor Swift. So I'll just put this on YouTube. Come back to it if you ever need to be reassured. I promise you this will not change.